It's
It is 6 o'clock. All right, this is.
yeah.
I'd like to call this meeting the Board of Supervisors to order. Offer an invocation, dear Lord, please guide our minds as we work through the business of the township, and look out for all of our employees and our residents as they go through their daily lives. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Salute to the flag, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And
Sorry.
you announce
Yep,
that.
yep. Okay. New change. We have a live recording going on, as you've seen here, and we can just kind of keep the background noise to a minimum. That help everybody hear what's going on, and it'll be better for everybody. So we will go through the folks that have signed in to speak. Lloyd,
Yes. Do I need to stand?
if you'd like.
Okay.
Do you want the mic?
No.
Okay.
So we have a business along 65 down there. We mow our grass. We pay a lot to have our lot. It may not look nice, but we try to keep it nice. The neighbors aren't mowing their grass. I don't know who. I really don't want to complain about it, but it's grass season. Do we need to drive around the township and look at the commercial build industries, or do we need to make individual complaints for whoever's not mowing and upkeeping their property?
We can. It's just in your.
Well, I just noticed right in our area, because every time the wind blows, I get leaves from there and they gather and block the drain. And
On the 65
your people
side.
have problems with them the same
Okay.
as I do. And then, yeah, I don't go looking for trouble.
Right.
But
Is it
this is a nice township, and
same side or opposite side?
Opposite side.
Okay.
I think because we're complaint driven, that you need to reach out to one of the supervisors. You don't have to wait for the meeting.
Yeah.
And, Steve can see if he agrees with me or not, and one of us can ride by, and if it's, again, because you're complaining, if we think that it warrants our code enforcement officer to look, then we can.
Okay.
Yep.
And my other point tonight is, I see the Franklin Township post. I see people's posts online. The anti-growth that this is just killing us. I mean, do these people come to our fire station and look at what we're dealing with? Look at Harmony. Look at around us. Portersville. We don't have anything modern compared to what our neighbors do because we can't afford it. And it's not just the fire department. The chief here would like to have some improvements for his police station in that little room there. I mean, we can't be against everything that comes into Franklin Township.
You can't use a couple Facebook posts to say we're against everything that comes into Franklin
Well,
Township.
I've
My
been to
opinion.
several meetings, and it sure seems like there's a lot of. I'm the only positive one who seems to want a little bit of growth in this township, so we can afford to come into the 21st century, and have nice looking things instead of having to operate out of a shoebox at every turn we go. So that's all I got.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Brian McConnell.
Good evening. I wanted to thank you for last month's meeting and the approval for my inclusion into the agricultural security area. My question is has that moved forward? Did it get recorded? And because I haven't received any notifications or anything on the status of that approval.
Shannon.
Yes, it's been recorded. Yeah, it was recorded right after the meeting. I sent it the following week. So
Thank you.
yeah.
Okay. Mr. and Mrs. Hauk.
Okay, for those of you that don't know us, Tom and Leanne House, we own a business located at Well, buildings 1702, 1704, 1706, State Route 65, just down the road from Lloyd. Our portion, we do detailing, title work, etc. The other part is we lease it out to a mechanic. With that being said, on the other side of us is the former Andrews building. Since we've been there 10 years, since we've been there, there seems to always be a camper of some sort in their parking lot. Starting last fall, somebody dropped off a camper, and now through the winter, there's been a gentleman living there. At one point, there were 2 men living there. Now there is one, we're back down to 1. He is about 5 feet on the other side of my fence. My point is that is not zoned residential. We are both zoned commercial, and I never thought I would have to come to a meeting to talk about this. There is no running water. There's no utilities whatsoever. And you might imagine the days that it's getting warm, the smells that we're smelling coming from over there. And we have to cut the grass in between. I don't know if they still maintain an occupancy permit because there are many people in and out of that building.
There's no active business there. It's just a kind of a congregating place. There's been people living in campers there since we've owned the building. The former tenant that lived in the camper out back has passed away. He was a good guy, but he was living there with there's no electric is the only utility I believe they have there. There was 2 people in that camper, but there was also another person. They put a motorhome over there. That guy's also gone now. So the big part is our product, our cars we sell and rent go along the fence, and I've had to show cars with a guy standing this close to us, and he has a fire pit. He starts about 10 in the morning, between 10 and 1, and he starts his fire and sits there and stares at us while we work, and it's
The smoke rolls over while we're detailing cars, and we're doing we have 3 dealerships we're doing work for right now. So I don't want to jeopardize my business based on somebody, and it's nothing against this gentleman. I don't even know who he is. But once he moves on, if that camper stays there, someone else will occupy it. And I don't think it's fair.
so the current. I snapped a picture. I don't know if you want to see it. There is no sewage, and I spoke with the closest bathroom to that building, and they said that he does not come there. There is liquids leaking out of the building into the parking lot. I took a picture of that. There's no. He goes nowhere. He has no car. He drives a lawn tractor. So,
Okay.
it's more of a sanitary thing. We stopped putting cars and stuff on that side of the building because there's just, now that it's getting summer, it's starting to stink really bad over there.
Okay.
That's just a big problem.
And not to belabor the point, but in the past with the previous guy who has passed away, we have had him on camera dumping 5-gallon buckets in between, and as you can imagine, that was pretty awful. We did talk to the owner at that point, and he said, "Oh, I'll talk to them." But I don't know. I think they do it at night now, so we don't get it on camera. But it definitely still smells.
Okay.
So, you have anything else?
I think
That's
we have
about it. Just
Eric review that. And
Yeah, I mean, that's an
give us-
issue, particularly without,
give us the feedback so
Sewage.
we can see where.
yeah, I think that's something even our code enforcement officer
Yep.
can address.
And, since I was recently there,
Yeah.
it stood out. It was very odd.
Yeah.
a lot of people ask us. We're dealing with customers coming in, and they're more worried about the guy living in by our parking lot than what they're there for.
Yeah, it's been a question many times, and it's embarrassing to be point blank. And I have nothing against the guy. I actually made some calls to Holy Redeemer Social Services today, and they sent me, I called LCAP in Newcastle, to try and find him another place. So he talked to my son yesterday, and he's like, "I have money, I just don't know where to go." So I was trying to make some calls to figure that out for him. I don't have a grudge against him. I just want to do my business.
But when he moves on, there will be another one because it's been several people over the years just
Yeah.
living there.
Through the ambulance service, I have some contacts. I'll call and start that ball rolling at the county level too.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Or
Thanks
even-
for
even if we
hearing
can
us
do
out.
anything,
Yeah.
that's the big thing. Can we even do anything?
Yeah, I don't even know. I mean, for him to speak to LCAP, he has to have, first of all, ride to Newcastle, Second of all, an ID. They asked me if he's a vet, and I said I honestly don't even know his name.
Oh.
So,
We'll see what we can get done.
okay, thank you. We appreciate
No
it.
problem. Teresa Pagani.
Hi.
Hi.
So I'm fairly new to this community. I've been here about 4 years. I went through the ginormous flood last year, not once, but twice, 9 days after the first one. Since then, we're building with no retention ponds. I don't know if there's any plans for the retention ponds for the new buildings that are going up the street with that new housing development that we've okayed. But now that and Shannon knows I call her every time it rains. It rains, the water comes up quick, the water comes up fast. I'm along the creek. These aren't camps any longer, they're homes. It's time for us as a community, it's time for us as a commission and all the communities along the creek to get together and come up with a master plan. Passive acceptance is no longer acceptable for the creek issue, the flooding. I can't live where every time it sprinkles, I'm checking the flood gauges any longer. It's just not acceptable anymore. We need to do something to fix this situation. And that's really all I have to say.
Thank you.
What's the plan? What are we doing?
Well, anybody who builds has to have a water runoff plan.
Okay.
So
where is the runoff plan for Tractor Supply?
behind
Behind it. What about Aldi's?
it.
It all shit runs downhill, which is my backyard.
Yeah, there's
You know?
it basically it has to capture the water and slow release it like it would if the field was still there. So that's what those are built and designed to do. So I'm not an engineer by any stretch of imagination, but our engineers review that plan before it gets authorized. So that's the process that they go through.
I'm telling you, the creek's rising faster than it ever did in the last 4 years.
There's no doubt.
We've got to come up with them. We've got to.
Well,
someone's going to die.
Part of the problem we've had over the years, and it's been many years that I've been dealing with it, is the silt buildup, like an island formed. How many years ago?
Does anyone have backhoes? Can we just pull some dirt out?
It's not that simple. If it was that easy, it would have been done. The Army Corps didn't want to touch it. Then you got to go through so many state regulatory commissions to get to that.
Well, then that's what we have to do.
And we can start the process. What we need to do is ask Butler County what their plan is, because that corner of the county has developed a plan to try to mitigate their problem, and I have to see what that looks like. But I don't know what would happen on our end. And then we probably need to talk to Marion, because it's going to be kind of and North Swickley, because we kind of share the misery when it starts to happen. So I know a couple people up in the Butler County part of this, and I will see what their plan was and what they're doing to address it. But I can assure you that anybody who's building new has to have a water runoff plan approved by an engineer.
I'm telling you, it's failing. This weekend, it was inches from my yard again, and it's not okay that it's that quick, that fast. New. This is new. This isn't 4 years ago when it rained. It didn't come up that quick.
Yeah,
it's happening really fast, and I'm telling you, something drastic something sad's gonna happen if we don't address it. We need to be proactive.
There is a group in Harmony I know that is actively trying to get Butler County to do something about their development, because they figure that is the biggest problem. You know, again, like you said, it all runs downhill. Butler keeps, Jackson Township, they keep developing, taking out trees, putting in housing developments, and it's all, it is all hitting. It ends up in the creek. So.
Yeah,
but
we're not engineers.
Yeah,
so.
we would just have to figure out.
It's now time. Passive acceptance it's not on the table anymore. It's time to address it. There's a gentleman here with plans, and my heart just like, oh God. All right, thanks for listening.
Yes, ma'am, 100%. We'll see. I don't know what we can get done, but we'll look in to see what they're doing, and we'll.
Thank you.
We'll
Okay, I'm not going away.
Okay.
My birthday's February. You can get a card ready. I'll be here.
All right.
I'm gonna be here.
Kim and Lee, okay, no problem. Maya Rainovich.
Oh, I'm Mia.
Mia,
Hi.
I'm sorry.
So I guess like I'm piggybacking off of that, but I brought some packets to like informational if you guys want them to kind of take because I wrote a statement, so
Okay.
it'll help you digest it later, I guess. But sorry. Okay. I don't know. Yes, share. There you go. My statement's only one page front and back. I'm not reading this whole thing. So don't worry. Bear with me. Okay, so I also am a resident of McKinway. So I kind of was doing some research. And thank you for your time, first of all.
Sure.
So we gathered to plead for your assistance and support as residents of Franklin Township, Beaver County, Connequenessing Creekside community. As you will hear from several longstanding community members and some short-standing community members, the increased creek levels are becoming more rapid, extreme, and frequent in the last 10 years due to excess stormwater from continuing urban development in our area and surrounding. The General Assembly of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania finds that inadequate management of accelerated runoff of stormwater resulting from development throughout a watershed increases flood flows and velocities, contributes to erosion and sedimentation, overtaxes the carrying capacity of streams, storm sewers, greatly increases the cost of public facilities to carry out and control stormwater, undermines floodplain management and flood control efforts in downstream communities, reduces groundwater recharge, and threatens public health and safety. They also find that a comprehensive program of stormwater management, including reasonable regulation of development and activities causing accelerated runoff, is fundamental to the public health, safety, and welfare, and the protection of the people of the Commonwealth, their resources, and environment. Because of those findings, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania deemed it necessary to implement Act number 167 of 1978, also known as the Stormwater Management Act, Exhibit 1. This encourages 1, planning and management of stormwater runoff in each watershed. 2, authorizes a stormwater management program to preserve and restore flood carrying capacity of the watershed. And 3, encourages local administration and management of stormwater consistent with the Commonwealth's duty as the trustee of natural resources and the people's constitutional right to that preservation of natural, economic, aesthetic, and historical values. Stormwater management plans are created by the county in consultation with municipalities located within each watershed. They involve surveying flood hazards, runoff impact, analysis of present and projected development in the area, and more. Further, once they are created, they are reviewed and updated every 5 years to ensure that they are still appropriate for our continually evolving communities. Now that we are familiar with Act 167, I have a few facts I would like to highlight. 1, the Connequenessing Creek in Beaver County is designated as an official watershed by the Commonwealth, subject to all previously stated in Act 167. That's Exhibit 2. Number 2, the Commonwealth has the Connequenessing Creek status as not having an Act 167 stormwater management plan currently in place. See Exhibit 3 for that. That's from the Commonwealth's website. Number 3, the Commonwealth has no record of the Connequenessing Creek in Beaver County ever having an Act 167 stormwater management plan in place. That's also on Exhibit 3. Number 4, Beaver County is the only one of our neighboring counties, Butler, Lawrence, Allegheny, Washington included, to never have an Act 167 stormwater management plan in place. That's Exhibit 4, which is the map where we're the only red county.
Just beautiful
Thank
presentation
you.
Very impressive.
Like papers.
Can't wait to take more time and look at it, but go ahead.
I'm almost done. Number 5, the Connequenessing Creek in Beaver County is currently in violation of the Stormwater Management Act, which is put in place to protect residents that you see here suffering today. The Connequenessing Creek has had 2 of the 5 highest historic crests within the last 6 years and experienced 3 crests in the last 3 years. It's Exhibit 5, which you'll see the highlighted information. According to When It Rains, It Drains, a 2014 PowerPoint presentation offered on the Franklin Township website, Exhibit 6, Franklin Township itself recognized at one point that a stormwater management program is required by law. Perhaps your predecessors initiated action in 2014, but never quite finalized plans, as the exhibits clearly show that the Commonwealth has no record of an approved program. As you may know, flood season is upon us, so time is of the essence to prevent residents from additional pain and suffering. We need to work together to ensure township and county compliance and implore you to be advocates for our residents and help hold the township, county, and state to their obligations. Once you have had time to review these materials and confer, we would love to regroup on a status within the next month. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for that presentation.
What was
Very
her
well
last
thought
name?
of.
What was her last name?
Can I add some color to that?
What was her last name?
Ranovich.
No.
I used to work for a company, DEP. Back in the day, I sat on what was the Monongahela watershed for DEP. And it was an establishment within the agency for different organizations, for different watersheds assigned in the Commonwealth. You're correct that the Constitution missed the boat. What happened was it was included in the Ohio River watershed, which it discharges into. That had an organizational group within the Commonwealth, and it's largely operated and rolled over by the Army Corps of Engineers. So what I would suggest is, and we're in a unique situation here where the Connoquenessing weaves between Butler and which is two different DEP regions. So it gets cut out of things because there's a political subdivide, but not a watershed subdivide. And it all drains into the same watershed, discharges into the Ohio River, and therefore it gets forgotten because of the political nature of the thing, because Butler County is in the North Central Region DEP office,
right,
and Beaver is in the Southwest Regional office, and therefore the two don't talk to one another,
right.
Unfortunately, because of that situation. What I would recommend is passing a resolution to request from DEP, from the Harrisburg office, and they have an Office of Stormwater Management that crosses over these political boundaries. Ask them for participation in the Butler and other regional activities for those watershed associations, and help develop a watershed association here that will address your needs and the needs of the community as a whole, as it relates to the watershed and not necessarily those political boundaries. And this would be, it's fun. There's a guy in Harrisburg.
Yeah.
I don't know who it is now. I used to know the guy, but I'm sure he long since retired. But there is a person that's assigned this area out of Harrisburg that addresses these situations. So I would funnel my
Yeah,
requests
I think
into Harrisburg.
now we have some active participants. What we do is we'll read this and we'll get more feedback, right? So, and then we'll start looking for solutions. So I think what we'll do going forward is we'll probably ended up having another public meeting for this to gather more data and
If I can be
input.
of assistance,
Sure.
you know who I am. You know
Absolutely.
my number, and
Thank you. All right.
So can I just ask Brian, so between this and what we would call the rain tax, is that what we're essentially be getting into?
No, the rain tax is a
Okay, just
different
making
animal.
sure I'm not getting myself confused there.
There's
Thank you.
information too in the act about the state providing up to 75% funding,
Mhm.
up to a certain dollar level. And unfortunately, the only watershed in Beaver County to ever have a stormwater, because there's about, I think, 8 designated throughout the county, is Florida Run, and I think it's because they were dragged in with an Allegheny County.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just something that's been neglected, I think, in the county in general.
All right. We will get working on that. Mr. Candido.
Well, I hate to follow that. I don't have. I just gonna kick my ball down the street again about I approached everyone about they had a wish list on a new township building. Indeed, would be about what you were talking about. That Shannon submitted a list. She had 5 things on her list, and when my wife and I read the list, it was unbelievable that she doesn't even have what she asked for. It was like simple. It was a locked door, something that she could have an exit to the back door, an exit out of her office. Just 5 simple things that should already be addressed. And I was wondering if we could during one of the planning meetings, do another walk around and maybe discuss what size building we would need, a pool building or such, and we could maybe get this rolling for,
Yeah, I
get
think
it on
that's
the
probably,
agenda so we can get it rolling for maybe a development of the 2027, we could have a new building.
that's probably a
And
good
then maybe
workshop
we could
agenda
be
item.
a little bit more caught up with local townships and, if we have to do, I don't know, there's a bunch of grants that can be brought to this state. Different people can, look into that, but, that's what I'd have to say this evening.
So our next workshop will be June 2nd.
Are you looking for a walkthrough during the work session or a public session or the,
Oh,
you need said
whatever
planning
you
commission?
prefer. If we can get more people involved and, we can't blow it out of proportion. We just need to find, how much room the chief needs to, make his
Yeah.
area a little bit better, have himself a private office somewhere he can do a room where he can do interrogation.
I think the more informal would be the workshop. That way we have that ability to just kind of work through that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So,
So we were just at a what do I want to say, convention, but I did get to talk to two different engineers up there just briefly. But what they need is the wish list.
Yeah.
They need that
I know,
exact
that's why I'm asking
sizes
you to help
of
with
everything. Yeah,
This is my third meeting, so
yeah.
I'm gonna kick this ball until it gets so big that you can't block it. So
well, there's a couple ideas. I mean, I know that there's a couple ideas on what we had discussed would be
I appreciate your time.
doing that other side, but yeah, okay. Tracy?
Hi guys. Just real fast. I've been coming to a lot of the meetings, just trying to keep everybody involved, see what's going on. My wish is I appreciate our chief here giving us a report, fire department giving us reports, Lloyd when he's here giving us information for those that can't make it to the planning. Can we get some of these other ones to give us reports too? I've been coming regularly for 7-8 months now. I've never heard of an EMA report. These are all part of our township. We need to know what's going on within all of these departments.
We haven't
Luckily,
had
our
one.
solicitor's been here. If we've had any questions, he's been able to answer things. There's just zoning and building. We've never heard anything from any of them.
She's been starting to include those as in the meeting
Okay,
packets
yeah.
now, so.
The last 3 months, and I think until the last couple months or the last year, Scotty was always reading the road report.
Yeah,
And then
it's
somehow
here.
that got,
Yeah. Yeah. Now with all of our residents from the lower part, EMA might be a good thing now too. They may want to get involved with some of this too. Our residents down there may want to see some of those EMA folks. I don't even know who's our EMA representative.
Justin Grogan.
Who?
Justin Grogan.
Okay. How many people know him?
Yeah.
You don't count.
Yeah, he's an Elwood City firefighter. There's a lot more to being an EMA coordinator than just having your name and having EMA after it. So he's got a lot of the training and the classes and everything that goes with that. The value of the EMA is basically during an event. Planning would be on us prior to the event, but the EMA coordinators are basically the people that help us while the event's happening and post-event. That's where they lie. And basically they report back to the county, and the county has their main, basically they're the main hub for all the EMA coordinators that have to direct all their information back from the county.
So just to turn back around, when we did that walkthrough, were you here when we did the walkthrough? So one of the things we did is they did have a tiny cupboard with stuff in it, and this will be the room if something happens that they'll meet, and the TVs were part of that. We had I think just the one, and we got the second one. The main purpose of the TVs was not for our meetings. It was in case they need to, if a disaster happens, right? In order to, you can finish that if you like. Because
Yeah. So, well, it gets complicated, right? So it depends on what the scale of the event is. We may work in conjunction with our neighbors and create one basic command post for the EMA coordinators to work out of, because it's easier. Information, what the EMA coordinators do, me as the fire chief, I respond to the call, right? We're out there trying to mitigate the problems that are happening as they happen. The EMA folks are my resource. I call them and say, hey, I need a bulldozer, and they can find me a bulldozer. Or, hey, we need trucks, or we need diking materials, or we need whatever we need. That's what the EMA folks do. They can provide you technical equipment support and things like that. And then post incident, they are part of the team that will go out and do this damage assessments. So they have to go out, and this is where it gets into the, can we declare a disaster? Can we not declare a disaster? It depends on the amount of damage, and there's a lot of things that go into that. So there's not a whole lot to report on, so to speak, for the EMA. I mean, I'll definitely ask Justin to send us what he might be working on, or any updates that he's been getting through that function, for sure. But those are those guys kind of like me. You don't want to see me, right? Because unless you have a problem, the fire department, you don't want to be us running out there. The EMA guys do the same thing, right? They're reactive to issues, but they can help us with some of this planning. So we will work on that.
Well, I think you'd be happy if you at least seen the plan. So there is a plan, if something happens.
Well, yeah, but also, I mean, all the reports, it's nice to be able to go, oh yeah, I was at that meeting and heard that engineer's report, or heard that, police report, just so all of the departments are being heard. And that's what the monthly meetings are for.
Right. Well, we get the engineer's report. One of the reasons you don't see an engineer here every month is because they charge you to come to the meetings. So if they don't have anything to tell us, that's why the engineer doesn't come to the meeting. But they do, if there's any information that needs to be funneled through, we can definitely make sure that gets read. There hasn't been a whole lot other than some of the development that we're doing down in the lower end. But yeah, we will definitely let you know that. All right. And Dominic Oliver?
I'm on the agenda.
You're on the agenda. That's absolutely correct. Did I miss anybody? All right. Well, I can figure out where I'm at. There we go. Okay. The minutes from the monthly meeting and the public hearing. I need motion to.
I'll make a motion to approve April 10th monthly meetings, along with the that was a hearing for our adoption of the zoning ordinance. Yeah.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to accept the minutes of April 10th meeting and the hearing. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. We got a correspondence from the Conservation District on tractor supplies permit. Planning Commission.
We didn't have a meeting this month because there's nothing on the agenda.
Nothing going on. Engineers report. Yeah, nothing. Solicitors report.
Nothing unless there are questions.
What about the or are we gonna wait until it's in the business, the airport?
Oh, if you want to talk about that now, I'll drop the letter requesting an increase of the donation that the authority makes to the township, because the cost of emergency personnel and the services we provide have increased over time. Again, it's a voluntary payment because they are tax exempt. So I'm hopeful that they recognize that there is this increase and that they increase the donation that they make, because they do not pay real estate taxes. So I'll drop that letter and make it available. I just asked for a motion for me to do that. I'll drop that letter, make it available for the three of you to review, to make sure that you like and appreciate what I'm requesting and the tone or manner in which I'm requesting that.
And I don't think we're being unreasonable.
I don't,
that.
not given the number. And I mean, it's been,
It hasn't been raised.
it's been over, I believe, 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's been a significant amount of time since they received their tax exempt status as an
They're
authority.
not a nonprofit. And so everybody knows they're not a nonprofit, but they are still exempt from the real estate
Correct,
taxes.
as an authority.
Can I ask a question, Dan? They've been building hangars. Do they get a building permit from us when they do?
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I mean, anything that they do, we've been a part of that as far as any
Well, they don't come from
engineering.
planning commission, I know that, because I've never seen anything there.
Well, I know that they get zoning and building because I get called when they get their occupancy permit.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
Why do they have tax exempt status?
As an authority. Yeah, they're an actual authority, correct. Like Franklin Township itself doesn't do it, or its municipal authority doesn't pay taxes on the real estate it owns, so it's exempt. Not as a 501c3 as Ms. Baker indicated, but as an authority, as essentially a governmental agency. Because there's an airport authority that addresses all of that as well.
Their land was reassessed at a few $1 million, but
Yeah, I
there's
mean, it would be
nothing.
a significant number
Yeah.
otherwise.
Okay,
Do they have
zoning
a retention pond?
at the airport.
Yeah.
It's surrounded by retention ponds.
Yes.
Well, we want that.
Right.
I know.
It's a swamp back
All
there.
right.
Yeah. Well, a lot of what they tore down to build back, so they just modernized a lot of their facilities out there. Okay, zoning and building permit report. So commercial building permits, the fire alarm systems for the airport and Aldi's, they do have those hangers alarmed. A sign for Tractor Supply, roof-mounted solar for air physical therapy. Residential building permit, those are the commercials. Residential, 3 roof-mounted solar for Len Street, Route 288 and Camp Run. An addition on Harmony Fisher, above ground pool on Franklin Street, and zoning permit, fence on Phyllis Drive, and AG storage on Lesnet Road. Beaver County COG, that's the group that I attend. One of my Thursdays, I have one free Thursday out of every month. This one is the 4th Thursday I attend these meetings. The COG is a collection of municipalities in the county that work collectively together to do things like commodities bidding and whatnot. One of the projects that we're currently looking to undertake, well, the last meeting we had at BCRC, it's the folks that do help the special needs folks find employment and keep them gainfully employed. It is an outstanding operation. They took us there. We did a tour. They showed us how their operation works, and it's an eye opener. I mean, how they help these people basically assimilate into life. One of the things that we're working on is so this is the book from the Allegheny County League of Communities. All the communities have gone together and, as members of this group, shared their information, and it created this book. So we're looking to do the same thing. This is all things that you can find with a right to know request. So what we're in the process of doing right now is reaching out to all the members of the COG to see if they're interested in participating in this. And then we're going to work on data collection so that the county can have a book very similar to this. It would be all of the details about the municipality, the salaries, the positions, everything that we do here. Now, this is only meant for the municipal government entities that put forth the information. It wouldn't be just free to the public, but it would help our community, our board here, when we start looking at contracts and negotiations and employment and what, who's doing what. So it's a really valuable resource. Beaver County COG joined the Allegheny League of Municipalities just to be able to get some of this information, so we know what is happening in some of the surrounding areas. So that's the project that we're working on right now. So I will keep you posted as that goes. Fire department report. I unfortunately did not get to the station to get you a detailed report, but we are at approximately 108 calls for this year. For a frame of reference, normally at this time of the year we would be at 40. We are now at about 108. So we've added medical calls to our repertoire. So we're running a lot more, but the guys are doing it. We're getting out. We're handling our calls, and we're busy keeping things moving. EMA report. Did we hear from Justin? Okay. Police report.
All right, good evening, everybody. As always, I submit my report to the supervisors. When I say that, I kind of want to touch base on that so everyone knows what this is. When I give the report, basically it's a compilation of a couple of different things. I give them the total mileage we patrol, all the calls we've answered for the previous month, which, like I said, we've continuously increased. In the month of April, we answered 156 calls. And then I go with criminal arrests, traffic accidents, and then back when I first took over here, PSP was handling some of the calls at the time. So I still have that on there. Of course, they're back to zero. Totally self-sufficient now. PSP covered areas, child lines, total hours that we handled, training hours, traffic stops, domestic, animal complaints, and then I'll put some notes on here, things I like to say. These are always available to anybody who wants to see them for transparency purposes. Anybody can see them. And then what I started doing again, what I started doing today was I'm gonna go ahead and our calls for service are UCR codes. So I'm gonna print these out. They're also gonna be available for everybody. They break down what type of calls we go on. In the month of April, we had 48 different types of calls. So they could range from, anything from crashes to thefts to false alarms on the burglary calls. It's funny, and I'm just going to read this to you. I just thought this was kind of funny. We just got a call because we answer all calls. Caller's hysterical. There's a spider in her vehicle. She will not go back in her car until it's out. We request the police get the spider out of her car. Caller's pulled over and she's standing there waiting for us. So again, we'll answer every call now. Again, that's going to be a service miscellaneous call. So
I'm surprised that wasn't a fire call. Real honest.
So again, I'm just saying, we want to be a full service police department. We're making all calls to you guys. I'm going to leave this here on the table. Should anybody want to come look at it, please feel free. The pole building that we were going to have built is totally built. We had the concrete floor poured last week. The doors will be on next week. We got our new Taser 10s, so we sold our old remaining 3 X2s to North Swiftly. All last week, myself and another officer were out putting speed timing lines and painting everywhere. I've seen them. I've been out running speed for the last week on 288 on Mercer, trying to get people to slow down. And the road crew is working on a speed sign bracket for that other speed sign we have across the street. So we're going to make it mobile to put it in different areas where we feel it's needed and people complain for some speeders. Hopefully that will help. And
coming to a neighborhood near you.
coming to a neighborhood.
Yeah. So which tasers did you sell? Because it says Taser 10s on here.
I'm sorry, they were Taser X2s.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chief. Questions for the chief real quick? No? All right. Road report. I'll do the summary real quick here. Marked 1 calls, installed new park sign entrance, worked on park drainage and catch basins, installed new park gate, installed speed limit signs on Mecklem Lane, began rebuilding road grader rear end, cleaned out pipes and ditches on Pander Hollow, installed exterior light above the police man door, cleaned pipes on Dutch Road, patched potholes. That's beginning of April. April 7 through 10, marked 1 call, picked up road closed signs from the weekend flooding, cleaned catch basins on Morningstar, moved dog kennel and prep ground for new police garage, installed markers along Park Road, salted bridges. God, must have got cold that week. Worked on old paver, rerouted gas pump electrical and light pole for a new garage, patched potholes, finished road grader rear end assembly. 14th through the 17th, marked 1 call, picked up street sweeper from Golden Equipment, swept roads, installed road grader rear end, worked on skid loader and old paver. On 422 through 424, marked 1 call, prepped new police building garage for concrete, installed drains, installed shelving, garbage cans, hose reels, and soap dispensers in park restroom, cleaned restroom thoroughly, open to the public, installed new park signage, replaced brake booster on the F550 truck, fixed damaged catch basin on County Line and Butler Avenue, patched potholes.
Can we just clarify something for when it says worked on old paper, because that's on our motion to sell, it was putting it back together. It
Yes.
wasn't working on it. Okay.
Right. And the money, so these guys undertook the task of trying to fix that road grader. And if you priced a car, price a road grader, right? So they tore that thing apart because it needed brakes. And so they tore it apart and fixed it and put it back together. So they did a monumental job there getting that thing back in service so that they can continue to do what they need to do.
And to find the parts.
And to find the parts.
I just don't want you to think we fixed it just so we could sell it. It was putting
Right.
it back together.
Right. Okay. Is this something that they talked to you about, this tamper?
Yeah, it's a tamper to pack the ground for when they put like catch basins in or work on the roads. What it does is packs the ground. So we're talking about getting one to, so they don't have to keep going back every week or so and putting blacktop in it to keep building it back up. This way, it'll be a one-shot deal. They get it back. They can put the blacktop in and don't have to worry about going back 4 or 5 times. So, to take the bump out of the road.
Is this a used?
It's a used one.
Used camper, okay.
So we never had one of these?
No,
So this would just be an attachment for the front of our Bobcat.
it'll go on the excavator, mini.
Okay, on the mini excavator.
It'll go
Okay.
on the mini
Oh, yeah,
excavator.
yeah, okay. All right.
And we never had one though. Like,
No.
Are we sure
Yeah.
that we
Yeah.
need it? I
Not,
guess is
not
my
that I
question.
know of since I've been here.
And if we've never had it.
And
what's-
they, you know, and every time they work on the roads, they gotta go back 4 or 5 times to keep building it up because they keep settling. This way it'll pack the ground and it won't settle, you know, they won't have to go back 4 or 5 times to pack it. And a new one, you're talking probably $15,000 to $20,000 for a new one. And this is what, 4,900.
I wish we could have, I mean, I wish I would have talked to Bronson prior and I didn't reach out, but I didn't know what it was for. And is there a plan to pay for this with liquid fuels or?
That wouldn't come out of liquid fuels,
Okay.
it would just come out of their funding that they have. So,
We have the ability to do that?
they do have it, they
Okay.
do have money in there.
Okay. Making the motion.
Make a motion to buy this, Bobcat PCF 35 Tamper for, $4,900. Yes, no.
I'll second the motion. All those in favor of purchasing this Bobcat attachment, compactor attachment, say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Me, I'm opposed.
Okay. All right. All right, so we need a motion to appoint the zoning hearing board alternate or nets. We have 2. We have been assured that we are within the proper parameters to go ahead and appoint both. So,
I forgot we could have 2
Yeah.
from the last meeting because
We
we,
actually have 3.
okay, we didn't get any more information from them. So I would, let me find where we are here. I would make a motion to appoint to our zoning hearing board as alternates, Mark Pitchford and Calvin Stepler.
Second.
okay, I have a motion and a second to approve alternates to the zoning hearing board of Mark Pitchford and Calvin Steffler. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. All right, need a motion for the sale of our old paver.
I did put it on municipal bid and advertise, there wasn't any bids on it.
Okay.
I can re-advertise it and put it out, we could put it out for sale here, maybe for the next meeting and see.
Okay.
If somebody rides by and needs a favor.
Yeah, I don't
Happens all
know,
the time.
I don't
It's
know,
all the time.
but yeah, we had some watchers, but nobody,
Nobody bid it.
no.
It's probably in the wrong part of the season right now.
So you need a motion to put it back on municipal bid or
I
what is
don't
that?
know if we wanna put it on, I mean, we can put it back on municipal bid if you want, and put it out front. I mean, we could do it both ways.
Yeah.
We can try to do that.
See what we can do. Okay,
So
so
you don't need a motion or you do?
Yeah.
Okay, so I make a motion to advertise the paper on municipal bid and also put it outside with a price tag on it for anybody who's driving through Palm Bell looking for a paver.
Second.
okay, I have a motion and a second to list the paver on municipal bid and set it in the parking lot. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay,
Never know.
you never know. All right, so we need a motion to send to Beaver County Planning Commission for their review the request for zoning of parcels 61-006-30325.000 from commercial to R2 medium density. That is down off of Harmony Fisher, where the Scenic Hill Baptist Church, or whatever church they were, up on the hill. It's about 10-acre parcel that is zoned commercial at this point, runs into an R2 neighborhood.
Are
You want
you gonna,
me to speak? Hi, everybody. Nice to see you all again. For those who don't know me, my name is Dominic Oliver. I'm here representing our family business. We're We're based out of Butler. We've done several projects in this area. We're neighborhood builders, and we own the subject parcel off of Scenic Hill Boulevard, or Scenic Hill Lane off of Harmony Fisher Road. We're asking it to be rezoned from commercial to R2. This will help us. We kind of envision a little pocket neighborhood. The drawings I'm holding, they're conceptual. Engineering's very expensive, so we want to make sure we know which zoning district we're going to be under before we go through that. But the commercial zone does allow single family and actually townhomes. So we could build townhomes up here. We don't think that's the best fit for the market in our experience in other places in Beaver County. So we'd like the option to do duplexes as well as some smaller detached single family. That thing everyone says, why don't they build smaller houses like they used to? They're not affordable. That's kind of what we envision for this parcel here. So we're not asking for any plan approval or anything tonight, of course. We're just asking to explore rezoning to R2 so that we know which standards to utilize, and that so we can have our plan designed to the township's R2 specifications.
Do you mind if I ask you a few questions?
Yes. Sure.
So you purchased this property as commercial, and I mean, we all know that's true. And then you applied for and received a permit to put one of the electronic billboards, right?
Yes.
Is that the two-sided like we have down here?
Is it, Lori?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. So then, because again, I'm trying to understand all this, you then ask for it to be subdivided because you can only put one of those electronic billboards per parcel.
Correct.
On commercial. And again, maybe the solicitor, I could be, I don't want to misspeak here. So then you subdivided in order to put the other billboard on there because it's commercial property and that's allowed, right?
Yes.
Okay. So my next question, and I'm not like, you're using it for commercial purposes, but now you want the zoning to be changed. Are you not going to have the billboards on there?
We are proceeding with the billboards. They're already permitted. We already have that.
But you want us to change it. You're using it as commercial property, and now you're asking us to change it to residential. And that's the problem I guess I'm having, and I just will share that with you.
Well, again, you're already able to build residential units in the commercial district.
Yes.
So
townhomes.
They would, which is kind of a more intensive use of land when it comes to residential. We have two businesses, our family. We have the billboards and we build neighborhoods and houses. We purchased the parcel for billboards, and then we looked at it and said, you know what? This is a great location also for some residential. How can we do it? We had our engineers look at it and they said, the only way feasible with this infrastructure, if you want to build residential, is to build townhomes. We said, you know what, that's not a good fit for the market. We built in Chippewa, we did townhomes there. They sold slowly. Many of the people that purchased us said, hey, I wish there was some different options, and it would be more desirable to customers and thus sell better to do under the R2 standards. So the billboards obviously are along the main road. The homes would be across Scenic Hill Boulevard, uphill, separate from that. They wouldn't have direct access to the commercial road. So we could do a further subdivision. We'd rather not. Part of it is that would be a logical utilization of stormwater, which could be zoned differently, but rather than go through the subdivision, we just ask it to be rezoned to R2, the easiest and simplest. It's not spot zoning because, as was mentioned, it abuts an R2, so it'd be building R2 directly adjacent to R2.
But you're taking commercial property and you're using it for commercial property, and then you want us to change the zoning, and this is just my opinion, for residential, and I think it'd be a great place for houses, don't get me wrong, but in my mind, I think you either use it as residential medium density and forget the billboards, again, I'm just,
I don't
done.
I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Yeah.
My suspicion is you'd rather not see the billboards be built, and we're
well,
not going to
nobody,
proceed with
nobody
that.
has liked the billboards, but
Yes,
I'll be
they're-
honest, they have been useful,
Yes.
you know,
Yeah.
for
Yep,
different
yeah,
things
people
and
do
getting
use
the
them.
words
So
out.
they're legal and approved.
Yeah.
So we're going to proceed with that.
Mhm.
So this is a separate discussion, where we'd like to utilize this land for a logical, modern residential plan. And rather than asking for variances on this, that, or the other, we said, hey, why don't we make it R2 and then we'll just follow the township specs. I mean, that's our intention.
But you're using it as commercial, and then you want us to change it to residential, and that's I'll be honest, it's just the part I'm really struggling with. You can put townhomes on there, it's permitted, but I don't think, like, again, if I bought residential property and I built my house on it, and then I come to the board and said, guess what, now I want it to be commercial because I have my house, and that's just the way I see it, and I'm not picking on you, I'm just trying to share my opinion.
Sure. I mean,
with
nothing
you.
is,
Mhm.
you know,
So-
it's all within the confines of
You
the
own
municipal
just
planning
you
code
own
we're asking.
just under 10. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's like nine point something.
And the billboards have to each be on separate
Yes,
parts of the lot. So you've already done that subdivision
correct. Yes.
to allow for the two different billboards. So how much does each billboard have?
Those parcels, they're on 1.25 and 3/4 of an acre.
Okay.
The two different parcels.
All right. So they're already subdivided.
And I guess I should reiterate. So after the master parcel's done R2, then we would go through with the township planning for the subdivision for the lots. So the parcel that the other billboard's on during that subdivision will be subdivided. It would be labeled parcel A, or parcel B would get its own parcel number. So when it's all said and done, it would be a separate parcel.
So those parcels would stay in the commercial.
No, at this time, since it's all, there was one parcel, now there's two parcels. Obviously, when you do the subdivision, there'll be 25 or 35 or whatever.
I think the question he's asking is the parcels that are currently zoned commercial where you have plans for the billboards after, assuming you proceed, will those parcels remain commercial, or are you asking us to rezone the parcels? And maybe that's part of what you were asking too, Ms. Baker. I mean, are you asking that those parcels also be rezoned to R2?
No, the one that's already been subdivided off, we're not asking for any change. This master parcel, one of the billboards is on it. When you subdivide the community, it'll become its own parcel, and we don't really have a preference what that zoning of that parcel is. It just is part of the master parcel now.
Does that make sense to you guys?
But we'll have a parcel.
Well, we'll
with
have a parcel that
billboard
remains
on
commercial.
That's going to be that's going to be R2 medium density. So, and that's
Yeah, it's essentially unbuildable for I mean, it's a valley along the highway, so without access to the highway, so it could be zoned, black hole for
Right.
it
Well-
won't be built on for ever.
And to try find some middle ground here,
Mhm.
if we keep the front lots commercial, I mean, it may require a separate subdivision. Is that correct? What I'm looking at here?
but the other thing is
I guess-
we don't have a plan. Like we don't
We're
have
not asking
anything.
for approval of the
Yeah.
plan. We're just asking we have one
Mhm.
parcel, we'd like to rezone it to R2. That is all we're asking.
And that's not unusual because they're not going to go through the engineering costs if the municipality isn't prepared to approve the zoning change, just like across the street from the,
So you build regardless. I mean, because you put townhomes in the way it is.
can you put single family homes in a commercial? I believe you
Yeah.
can put single family homes. It's just a matter of, it has to be on a half an acre as opposed to a third of an acre.
And again,
and
I
that's
left my
that is not
sheet here.
economically feasible in 2025.
But then when
Yeah.
you look at spot zoning, you know what I mean? If
It's not
it's
spot zone.
but if it's and again, I'm not
From my legal perspective, it's
Mm-hmm.
not spot zoning.
but it's changing it to, and I know we're not having a trial here, but it just seems like we're changing it so you can sell these houses quicker versus sitting and waiting. And like I said, I don't know. And there's just
We're-
nothing to look at. I mean, I don't have anything here other than a parcel. And we
But
don't
we're
have
not
to,
asking,
yeah.
we're not asking for that. You'll have that opportunity when we present a plan to you that you'll have to approve.
So the approval you're looking for, so one piece is already, it's already permitted and it's gonna stay commercial.
Yes, yep.
One's already done. So you're looking to do what's gonna consist of the top of the hill and one other, that's gonna
Yeah.
consist of
Really, 'cause
another piece.
there was no reason to subdivide it off previously, so it's part of the master parcel.
Right.
So we'd like to it's simplest to just rezone that entire parcel, because you can take action on that now. So that's what we're asking for.
Well, you can't take any action.
Well, I mean, you take
we
action
have
for
to-
the-
you have to commence
take
the
action for the
process.
meeting.
To send it to the county.
To the county, correct.
Right.
And I'd recommend not only to the county, but if that's something you want to send it to the county and to the Township Planning Commission
Yeah.
for their recommendation and review. And that's
So
what's
we did go
required.
through planning commission already.
Okay, did we get a recommendation on that?
Yes.
They never discussed the two
Yeah,
commercial.
I'm kind of curious about that, because I thought we segregated those two lots I thought we already split those off of that property. Is that not correct?
There's only
Yeah.
two parcels.
Okay, so the other side of the road has been subdivided for your two parcels for your signs?
No, only one was subdivided for the sign.
The other
and
sign
other's
is
on
a
the
part of
larger
the
portion.
remaining larger
Oh.
lot, which they're requesting be rezoned to the R2 right now.
And I don't think the sign, the placement of the sign on residential property was in your discussion.
No,
I was
and
there,
that-
yeah.
What you brought up, I can say I was not, honestly, I believe that
Took me a little bit to,
with our discussion, I had originally thought that they had segregated those two
Yeah.
lots for their two signs. And last week I was like, okay, they got 9.7 acres on the other side of the road and they're just gonna build on that. I took for granted that was done. But
that's already permitted for a billboard,
and
that
we had
975.
we recommended that you guys approve that, but I don't know, maybe we do need to go back. I mean,
Well, I'd recommend either way that it be sent to the Township Planning Commission, again, for review together with the county.
Sent through the
Planning
county
Commission.
and back to our local.
So when it goes to the county, will they know that there's two existing building permits for that property? That is my question too.
I mean, they do get them, but I don't know if county planning has.
Yeah, I don't know that
Because
they.
they're not
well,
gonna know
they're
that
not
there's
gonna
already a
take that.
permit on
And
it.
again, both of these.
I'm confused what the concern is.
Well, I think what the concern is they'd rather see, and I'm speaking on their behalf. I think they'd rather see that the billboard that is located on the property that you're requesting be changed to an R2, that be subdivided and kept a separate parcel as a commercial parcel, as opposed to rezoning a parcel that has a billboard on it to R2.
And I just
guess.
wanna
Not
make
that you're
sure- yeah.
asking.
We're just gonna.
I have
we're just
no.
gonna kick the can back a few more months and end up with the same result. House on
Well,
this side, building
yeah,
on that side.
because from a legal perspective, if because that would be a legal non-conforming use. The billboard would be a legal non-conforming
because it
use.
predates and
Because it
grandfathered,
predates
so
any
it doesn't
modifications
really
of the
affect
zoning
it.
ordinance. Again, I'm just advising you of that from a legal perspective. It's entirely up to the board what they
We
wish
don't
to do.
need to rush, and I would just rather we take some time and do it in a process to make sure everything is done correctly.
Well,
Because
this
again,
would be correct and legal.
No, I know,
We're just
but I mean,
extending it a month for the preference of there being a subdivision semantically, essentially.
Or we
I
build one
ethically, I just
billboard.
think that we should
And then houses.
slow.
We're building two billboards. That's
No, I'm trying to help you here
no, I know, but
because they're going to light my backyard up. So
yeah, I mean we're 100%. I just want to make that clear because I don't.
That's
And I don't think anyone in this
Yeah.
room is doing that, but
right, I know.
I don't want anyone to think that to try to use this process to the billboards will be built. We already have the permit. We can build them anytime. So this is a separate issue where we're just trying to work with the township to make a nice neighborhood on the other parcel. In addition, the revenue from the billboard is going to pay for the development too. I mean, they're kind of one and the same. It's going to help us pay for the roads and the sewer and that sort of thing. So. It's actually a happy coincidence to find a property where you can purchase where it fronts on a main road, and it also has a private spot off a private road where you can conduct, you can maximize the quality of the land use. So,
And just so as supervisors, when we make these decisions, we're the ones that have to face the residents. So I just want to make sure that we kind of slow down and make sure we're following the right steps so everybody can be happy and we're like, nobody's like dashing that development or bashing us. We just follow the rules and do, like I said, what is right. And I don't mean to say I'm against your billboards. I know you have a right to build them. But when it comes to subdividing a property that's already being used for a commercial purpose, so you can use it then for residential, what's not necessarily permitted in the beginning, that's what I question. So that's all. I'm just being honest with you. I'm not saying you're doing it. I know you're not doing anything, and if it takes a few months, then we can just go through the process.
Well,
it's my opinion.
Let's entertain a motion to send it to the Beaver County Planning Commission. There's nothing on here about sending it back through ours, though.
Well, and I have no problem. That would be a de minimis month.
Can I ask, what did the planning commission approve when we did go?
Planning Commission doesn't have the authority.
Well, what did
to
they
approve.
recommend though?
They recommended the change from, I believe, Mr. Myers.
Commercial
Yeah.
R2.
Yes.
Yes, we did recommend that, but that was, honestly, now that Dana brought up the point, when you guys showed us the plans, I thought you had two individual lots for your signs. Because not one and a quarter and the other 8.75. I didn't realize that. And now that I have, I don't know if I would have quite given you that recommendation. It was, I agree with Dana that if that second sign is going on a piece of property, it should be subdivided off as commercial and not left on a residential. And then we'll change the other 8 acres or 7.75, whatever's left to, well, that would be my recommendation. But like I say, I misunderstood the.
Mr. Oliver, what's the problem with putting that second sign on its own lot? Because it's accessible only from 288, so it would have a scenic road in between that and the development. So if you segregate those two off, would that be a problem?
But even separating it comes to the same thing in my mind, but so when we send this,
and then you build the rest.
From my perspective, the biggest problem is it takes several more months and more meetings to arrive at the exact same conclusion, which is a sign on this lot and a house on that lot. The underlying zoning, whatever it is, the end result will be the same. So, we can go through that subdivision process. We can pay a surveyor, we can pay an engineer, we can come to several meetings. If that's what we have to do, that's what we'll do. But it's the same result at the end. It's now we have to go through planning commission for a subdivision, and then we have to report the subdivision, and then we can come to planning commission for this, and then you're just pushing the date that the first person moves into their house, maybe 6 months.
I can live with that. I can. I just want to do my due diligence.
For the purpose of having the parcel map read commercial rather than residential. That's the only effect.
No, you're taking, like I said, commercial property, and you're using it as commercial property, but you want it rezoned to commercial or residential. That is what I'm just struggling with. That's
I
all.
suppose. It happens every day, but
let's
So when we send this to the county, will they know that there's an existing building permit for that sign on that property?
I don't know what the county, quite frankly,
Can we
knows
send
or
that
doesn't
along?
know. We can do that, yeah.
Just to
I
get the
don't, but I don't think that's going to affect their recommendation.
So if we can send it for their review and comments, letting them know that it's already been subdivided. There's two.
Correct.
Things.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah.
Again, though, I don't think
Just to get
because
their
legally
comments,
there's
yeah.
really not a significant distinction, quite honestly. I don't know that that's going to affect it. But to do your due diligence, then that.
Just have somebody
I have
else
no problem
take a
doing
look
that.
at it and see and give their professional opinion. I'm not an engineer. I'm not a lawyer. like a
And
lot of
Shannon and I will
developer.
work together on the
So-
letter, and I'd recommend sending it
Yeah.
again, as I said, to the Township Planning Commission as
And
well.
I'd like to
with
see
this
what
information.
you have in
Yeah.
that letter before it's sent. So-
Okay, no worries.
Okay, thank you.
So a motion, we'll need a motion with those qualifications.
You remember what you just said?
I can indicate what the content of the motion is to send a letter to both the county and township planning commissions requesting that they review a proposed amendment to our zoning ordinance, specifically rezoning our zoning district of that specific parcel that the Oliver family is requesting that we rezone from M or commercial to R2. But in doing so, make sure that they're also aware that
It's already been
place.
subdivided
that
as
it's already
commercial.
been subdivided, and that there's on that parcel a billboard, which would not otherwise be permitted in a commercial in a R2
That's the
district.
motion right there. I don't need to reread it, especially since it's being recorded.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Again, I don't know that that's going to affect
Right.
Again.
the county in particular.
And they may respond that it doesn't matter, they may have no comments.
Yeah.
They may say I wasted their time, but it
Yeah,
will make
yeah.
me feel better.
But we're required to do that.
Regardless.
We're required to do that
Yeah.
under the MPC.
So,
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second to accept that motion to send that information to the county and our local planning commission. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? All right, so we can table
Yes.
the next
I
one.
would recommend that.
I make a motion to table to set the hearing date for this rezone.
All right.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to table advertising for the hearing for the rezoning of the commercial of the R2. All those in favor say aye.
That'll
Aye.
be tabled the next month.
As far as, yeah.
We should have the comments from the county back.
We should. You and I, you don't think,
No, they said June 17th if we waited.
because of the planning commission.
So it wouldn't be
When-
till
when they meet,
July.
so it wouldn't
That's
be
why
until
I,
July.
this wouldn't be July.
Okay. All right.
When's the July planning commission?
When's the county?
So the county would review this on June 17th.
So that'll be after our June
Yeah.
meeting. And then when's the township's planning commission?
Theirs will be June 4th.
So can our planning commission review it before Beaver County?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So we can come back and,
But we probably won't have the county's planning.
Right.
Review. Well, we certainly won't have the county's planning review based upon what Shannon just said. Because they don't meet until the 17th and we meet before the 17th.
And the planning commission's gonna wanna see the comments from the county.
Yeah, and I'm sure that, yeah.
Our planning commission's gonna wanna see the comments from Beaver County is what I'm thinking.
so do we need to come to the June meeting or should we be?
You probably, I mean, you're entitled to come, but I mean, I don't know that there's gonna be any action, quite frankly, in June. Because we won't even have the county.
Okay. This is kind of my point. You see how that just added 60 days?
But we owe it to the residents and the people of the township. I mean, it's nothing against you or what you're trying to do, but
Okay.
there's no sense of us pushing through.
Moving along, motion on resolution 10-2025 GTRP grant for Hereford Manor acquisition, designating the chairman and secretary to execute all documents and agreements for the grant.
I make a motion on resolution 10-2025 for the grant for the Hereford Manor acquisition, designating the chairman and secretary to execute all the documents and agreements.
Second.
A motion and a second on resolution 10-2025. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion for the Armstrong proposal.
Well, I looked into upgrading our internet and phone services, and I think we're fine right now for how much it's gonna cost. I'd like to wait a little longer until everything comes
It's a
through.
lot of money.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, at least we know.
Did
what it
somebody ask for this to be done? Because I was surprised to see it in there.
Yeah, Bronson had asked to see how much it would be to upgrade the internet.
Okay.
Well, because there's a lot of things tapping into that now,
Yeah.
the cameras and the TVs and everything else that's going on, and it will drag on it. But yeah, it's
At least we have an idea.
So that's table.
So we'll motion,
Make a motion to table the Armstrong proposal.
Second.
motion and a second to table the Armstrong proposals. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Did we do the motion? We didn't do the motion on this.
No, I just
Okay.
discussed the substance of the letter during my report, so I'd ask for a motion to authorize.
Okay, I make a motion to authorize Attorney Long to facilitate an increase in payment in lieu of property taxes for the Zionopel Airport Authority.
And I'll share that letter with you before I send it out.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to authorize Attorney Long to send a letter to the Zionopel Airport Authority to increase payments. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Facilities, we found out we're tight. Everybody's up close and personal in here tonight, so.
So really, how do we have to get some measurements, some real hardcore measurements, what Bronson needs?
I think that would be a very good use of our next workshop.
Okay,
So we have that ability to just kind of move
Do that,
through that.
okay.
And
No less than a 60 by 100.
well, that's kind of a couple of things. Whether do you add on here? Do you take that building over there down and rebuild something it's usable? Move us, the fire department, over there. Add us a bay on the end. Put the road crew on the other end. There's a couple ideas running around my head. We just have to figure out what makes it work.
I did not think of that.
Yeah. So if we tear that pole building down and build basically a good insulated pole building, give me 2 bays, give the road crew the rest, then you just reconfigure this building. Like my engine room could be the new meeting room. There's a lot of different things we could do with it.
This could be another office.
Yeah, there's a lot of different. That I think is the most effective and probably the quickest fix.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else you want to talk about on that right now?
No, I think that's the biggest thing we can do with our next meeting.
All right, secretary's report.
I don't really have anything right now to report.
We've been behave ourselves. All right, I need a motion to pay the bills.
Make a motion to pay bills.
I second it.
We have a motion and a second to pay the bills. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I don't believe we need an executive session this evening. Anybody else have any comments before we close the meeting?
How was the cleanup day?
We should have talked about that.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, it's being recorded.
It was great till noon, and it started to rain. So I don't think it was as busy. I don't think we filled as many dumpsters as we've had in the
No,
past,
we
but
didn't.
it was pretty again well received and definitely a worthwhile venture to keep things off the side of the road as much as we possibly can. But
it was a good day. It is one of the best. I don't want to say one of the best
Like I
because it's
said,
cleanup done, but everybody loves it.
we dodged the rain up till about noon, and then not so much for the last couple hours. It got a little miserable for a while. All right. No other business come before the board. I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Oops.
If anybody wants to take this, we're working on a comprehensive plan, and it just gives us an idea of what you want to see the township in the next 10 years, what you want to preserve, what you want to see improved. So if you could just take like 7 minutes out of your day, that would be amazing.
It's not hard. I did it right away, so you can scoot through it pretty quick.
Yeah, it took me longer than 7 minutes. Shocker.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
I second it.
Second. All those in favor say aye.